It's upside down, Dad.
There's always a critic in the audience.
Louise, you got something on your
Quiet, please.
We've known Gail and George for many, many years, but one has to start somewhere, so we decided to start in the year 1967. Which
Can I just interrupt just a moment? That no couples have traveled together in vacations, I think, more than the Donnellys and the Boires. And we know you're all interested in knowing every place we went and what we did.
And your movies, of course.
We're not sure who's the father of which kids.
Oh, nice.
Where I got my good looks from. Thanks, Dan.
far too much
Hey, we're
information,
both-
George.
Good kids, no matter who it is.
So we will start, as I say, 1967, which was a big year for us. It was Expo year in Montreal, where we all lived, which was the greatest year Montreal ever had. Also, Gail and George were godparents to our son John, and we took our first trip together with the children to Cape Cod.
Now, just in case you don't know where Montreal is.
You need a flashlight?
I've got the toughest job of all.
Very good, there. Now we know.
Cape Cod
Magnifying glass.
is somewhere.
Pretty close there.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
So in Cape Cod, we took the children with us, but the adults had a great time.
Yeah. Gail saved me from worse than death. When we get down there, I said, George, let's both drink the same thing. So what are we going to drink? George says, let's have martinis all the time.
Yeah. Martinis.
And George is sort of an endomorph. I don't want to explain what that means. I'm boning and small bones, and he's large bones. So we had 3 martinis, and George is and Dan had 3 martinis. And so, thanks to Gail, she said, George, you're giving him, you only have 2 drinks, so he's going to end up being an alcoholic, and Gail saved me from being an alcoholic.
Oh, bravo. Good job,
So
Gail.
then in '68, unfortunately, we were transferred to Toronto. So we moved to
In
Toronto.
case you don't know where Toronto is.
We left our friends behind, but we were lucky to find new ones. And that summer, we took a cottage in the sandbanks in the Bay of Quinte. And the Boire family came. And Gail saw the sand hills. And that's all she needed. Down she went, up she went, with all the children in tow.
Because Gail lives at the edge of the envelope. First on here, first down the hill, steepest hill.
Now, in '69, we took our first trip to the Caribbean, actually further down to Acapulco, and Mexico, and Tasco. It was our first time in that climate. What a big deal it was for us. From the Papagayo Hotel, where George put mattresses in the window to keep the sound down.
Mexican buses with no that sound.
Woo!
I was wondering, too.
Good luck, sand brains.
Cars with no mufflers and lots of motorcycles. We then moved on to the Ritz Hotel, where where Gail found the dance floor tent on the beach. And did she swing day in and day out.
Lunchtime and supper time. The evenings we danced.
So we decided while we were
Dance,
there, we might as well see everything. Well, the men were all working then, so we were at kind of a small holiday of 10 or 12 days. So we thought the thing to do would be to go to a different hotel morning, noon, and night. So the first morning, we left to go to George, you remember?
Las Brisas.
Las Brisas.
Las Brisas.
And we're sitting there with the only people, of course, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So we order breakfast, and the waiter goes away, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait. An hour goes by. Finally, George and Dan figured, something's happening. Gail said, come on, guys, do something. We can't wait any longer than this. So they go down the hall to the little door where we'd seen the waiters eat. Open the door, down and down they go until they reach the kitchen, way down below, to be greeted by the cooks and saying, what are you doing here? And they said, we've come to see about our order. They said, what order? You mean you were up there? The waiter came down, broke his leg, he's now in the hospital. So, we finished off our trip to Mexico
Good.
City, and on to Mexico City.
I can tell you a story about Mexico City. I've got to find it here, Louise. Whoop, that's tasking.
Hard to read
Yeah,
upside down.
Mexico City. We ordered, we had each separate rooms, and all of a sudden, there was no place, my room wasn't available, but they gave us a suite with a dining room and everything, so we had a nice dinner served in our dining room. And this great suite, I decided to have a bath in the bathtub, and I turned the bath, water on, and the faucet not only comes off, but the whole fixture comes off, and the water's like a fire hose. Louise! Gail! So Gail was downstairs, so he said, bring up towels, all the place is being flooded. Then I phoned the Mexican, and in those days, Mexican service was pretty slow. And they couldn't understand all the time Spanish. In the meantime, the place is getting flooded, but finally they came up and they turned the water off.
So then the years go by and we go on to Delray Beach. Well, there again, we were all working, so it was short stays of weeks at the time. And then we came, off and on, we went back to Labor's, which in its heyday held all the tennis tournaments. And Gail is there watching, and the Williams girls started appearing, and they were very, very young, and they were starting to play tennis. So we would stand by and watch them play for a long, long time. And the 70s went on, and then we're into the 80s, and we then decided to try a new venue. So off to Barbados, Cuba, Cozumel, where, by the way, the hotel where we stayed, we found out, was washed out by the hurricane.
No.
So there was a dining room. And they had, it was an Aztec type dining room, and they had huge chandeliers. But the hotel was so very badly built that we were afraid that the chandeliers were going to come down, so we asked to be moved. And then we froze on the beach, but thank God Gail had brought her ski jacket. So she was the only one that was
Smart thinking.
warm. Then the Boires George retired and went on to live in Jamaica, to Kingston, where Gail hired Cinderella as her maid and taught Cinderella everything she needed to know to be a good male, and helped her financially, and is still helping her financially 20 years later.
Worked for me 1 year, and I'm still taking care of it.
From then on, it was Ocho Rios for a few years, where we rented cottage, and many of our friends came to join us. And the picture, can you tell them about the picture we took in Ocho Rios?
Oh,
This sounds racist, but it's not.
Weren't the Durnos there with us?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
We were there.
yes.
We had, there were 8 cottages, and each one had a maid that would do the cooking. And the maids were so nice, and they said that when the week was over, why don't you people buy we buy the food and everything, serve the drinks, and they would cook it for us, and we'd have a barbecue out in the garden
luau
in front of the cottages.
Right.
And music, and somebody arranged the band. So we we had it, everything worked fine. And we,
Polaroid.
I don't think it was Polaroid, but it doesn't matter whether. Took pictures of all the maids and all of this, and it was pitch dark. I rushed the next day, got them printed. So I couldn't show, all you could see was the you know, we North Americans, we were normal with a flash camera. But with the maze, all you could see were their eyes and his teeth. We were afraid of that.
Daddy had promised these pictures, had promised all these people pictures, he was gonna give them all pictures, oh, it was so embarrassing.
And, you know, they probably wouldn't have been embarrassed at all, because they'd take pictures too.
Good story, though.
So in late 80s, Dan retired, and we went off to Greece and the Greek islands and Egypt and up the Nile to Luxor.
Only 20 years ago.
We need some dust.
Yes, it's dots over here.
Greece and Greece.
Oh, in Greece,
to
okay.
Luxor.
Get the dots going there. He's running out of dots.
So many stories. You can't find those. Have you been to Santorino there? And then what do you know? It's was it?
Gail has a picture.
The volcano blew up 3,000 years ago and destroyed the world and left this island of Santorino. Santorino, the side of the volcano is about 1,000 feet high. Cruise ships come in, and we came in. It wasn't a cruise ship; it was a ferry boat. And we had no hotel reservations, so we went to the village at the top, which is 1,000 feet above the sea, and we got a last minute room with and looking over, and you could see a cruise ship down there. It looked like a Tinker Toy. No, they don't make Tinker Toys, don't make ships, but you got the idea.
Yes.
So the guy says, we've got a special room for you if you want, for both of you, right in the cliff, right in the rock. You know, a bedroom for us. Well, Gail, who pushes the envelope all the time, she drew them up. No way I'm going to earthquake prone mountain sleep there tonight. The Donnellys are Irish Irishmen.
That's right. One of you.
One of you, anyway.
All right.
Just as foolish.
UK did.
We went in and slept in this, in the rock. It was a very nice room. But it was the sight of this Santorino is something you can never forget.
It's outside,
Right?
in the gallery.
Yeah, there's a picture outside of the island.
Is it all?
Yes. Okay, in 1988 or so, off we go to St. Lucia, where we stayed with friends. But unfortunately, there was a theft. While we were out for dinner, thieves came in and stole the Boire's clothes. And they stole Gail's sandals that were identical to mine that we had made in Jamaica. And from then on, I felt so guilty because I always had my sandals. She didn't have it. So then in the early 90s, it was Boca and the Carolinas. And we went to New Jersey to visit friends and to New York City to see a Broadway show. And we had Big Brownie. Now, Big Brownie, for those of you that might not know it, was George's van. And it was so full. And Gail was driving, and we're parked in an underground parking in New York City, and we can't get out. It will not move an inch further. So George to the rescue, removing a few things. Here, George, do you recall?
I turned it around and backed out.
Wouldn't go forward. So you came back.
We had to open the door. We could only get in with the door open.
So then we continued on, and we decided to go on to back to Florida area. So one day we
Still back in Egypt, please.
Yes.
Yeah, you're behind. Catch up.
You don't think this is easy upside down?
He is George Bush!
Senior. Did you do all this on the way up, driving up from Florida?
Yes. That's right. So anyway, one day we had been in Florida, I guess we were in Deerfield at this point, and another Gail had given Gail Boire a present. And it was called, it's with books that audio books that you put on TV, on the car I should say, and it was called the Celestin Diaries. So
Celestine.
Gail decided that we were to listen to this on the way back. Gail was driving. So we're listening to this, and first in the front seat, George falls asleep. And then in the back seat, Dan falls asleep. And then I fall asleep. And then finally Gail figured she had to turn them off, or she was going to fall asleep. So that was the end of that.
So much for your taste.
Right.
Got me up to that.
So then we went on to Delray Beach for a few years, staying at Lady Di Abercrombie's. And Gail was always making us super meals with all the latest in food items,
I think I should do it.
much to KB's forward, because
I used to have to do the pots and pans after. He's just smart enough, you know, just to, but Gail, the gourmet cook. Pots and pans, I used to hate it when Gail loved her meal.
then on to Delray for many years, where rain or shine, hot or cold, with her bathing cap only she can look good in. Every morning out she goes for a hot tub and a swim. Never again will she in a swim. Then she discovered new food and nouvelle cuisine for Gail. Nothing else will do but nouvelle cuisine. On we go to Delray Beach when we bought our own place, and then in the 90s, and Gail and George came and joined us, and back in Muskoka. Now there are many more places for us to go, and more miles to come, I'm sure. But since we've just come back from Cozumel, where we had been a long time ago, I have brought a little present. It's not a present, it's just a little token of a memento. But because you missed this cruise, this is nail polish that turns in the sun.
You have to check it out with her later. Let her put some on.
Like nails?
I thought you were going to give us a little summary of the wars. Presentation's not, oh,
Yes, it's over.
The presentation was made in Pittsburgh. And for the Quebecers,
It's Toronto here.
no, before the Quebecers, Charles would win the election. That's all. Oh, I want to say
Next from Antiquity to
Cut out.
Antiquity to childhood. We want our young granddaughters to have something for grandma.